Hey guys, and welcome to a battle featuring Sith Desert Fox coming in with the Greenskin Hordes up against Skrulk Bathwater Drinker, which is a rather interesting name. Of course, coming with Skrulk and the Skaven. We're going to be playing this on Prague, and this is another replay from the recent tournament I did, so should be some good stuff indeed. And let's go into slow-mo here and check out the builds. Always good fun to see the Greenskins in competitive action. Looks like their build is definitely kind of my style of build. Kind of a ton of Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, but we'll get to them in just a second. So for the front line, we have a mixture of Night Goblin Fanatics, as well as the 8-peak Loons, and more Night Goblin Fanatics dotted all the way along, with some basic Night Goblins chucked in there for good measure. Decent front line, they should be able to swarm relatively well, and we've seen how powerful Fanatics can be over the course of a battle. In a secondary line, we do have Night Goblin Archers. Looks like just the 3 units, one of which is Durusty Arrows, a Regiment of Renowned version, which comes in with Armour Sunderen, and are quite the key backbone to many a Greenskin Daka line. Interested to see how these guys perform. At the same time, we have a huge Cav contingent in the back line, which I'm a massive fan of. We have Forest Goblin Spider Riders protecting the flanks, and triple Squig Hoppers, including the Durkit Squigs, in this back pocket. These guys come in with armor piercing, anti-infantry, poison attacks, and all that good stuff. We do have a Goblin Big Boss coming in on foot as well, trying to lead the lads to glory, although he's a little bit slow on the ground here. They need Stabbing Haver. Minus 30 armor and 24 melee defense on a Lord or Hero is very, very powerful stuff indeed. So pretty fun build. Over on the flanks, it looks like we do have Snotling Pump Wagon Flappers, a unit you don't see terribly often, as well as another unit of Snotling Pump Wagons. It's always interesting. When these guys came out, everyone kind of spoke about how terribly powerful they were going to be, but I haven't seen too many, so interested to see how they do perform today. Up in the sky, we have Azag the Slaughterer coming in with Spirit Leech, aspect of the Dread Knight, and let's check what that last spell is as well. Doom and Darkness, really good utility kit here, bringing terror to the field as well as negative leadership is always good up against the Skaven, and I mean Spirit Leech as well on their characters. In the distance, we have Forest Goblin Spider Riders in Deep Reserve. Now, for the forces of the Skaven here, I believe they are actually being played by Jay Phoenix. He just changed his name for the tournament. He's got a pretty awesome Death kind of blob build, in fairness. It does have a mixture of the typical Skaven slaves, who are cheap, cheerful chaff, there to die, as well as Beric Dondarrion's own rat children, Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers, with their awesome flaming swords and very cool ember-themed shields. These guys a little bit tougher and should be able to chew through goblins with deadly efficiency. But apart from that, it's very cheap infantry-wise with just so many Skaven slaves, and that's because he's put a lot of money into other areas of the field, which includes some Death Globe Bombardiers, a unit, again, we don't get to see terribly often, but I can see them doing some horrendous damage to that Goblin front line. We also have some Poisoned Wind Mortars in the back pocket, as well as Itik's Zap Zap Warp Lightning Cannon, which no doubt will be targeting down those pump wagons, as well as Azag up in the skies. We have one unit of Warp Grinders as well for some great map control. They come with some really useful abilities, including Seismic Snare, pinning down the enemies and stopping them from moving, makes them an excellent backline protection tool. We also have Double Rat Ogres being used in Deep Reserve, once again to counter-initiate any kind of sneakiness into the back line, trying to shut down this ranged core. Of course, we have the gruesome and disgusting Hell Pit Abomination here, looking incredibly disgusting with all the little rats pulling out the top. But I'm quite a big fan of this. Having a big monster in a build with so much chaff certainly adds a new roadblock for the enemy to break through. We have the Wheelz of Doom here, the Regiment of Renowned Doom Wheel, which is, again, going to be perfect to take down this build and roll over those goblins. Comes that awesome blue electric aura as well. Anti-infantry, has those good old zaps, and does magic damage, at least with its range attacks. We also have Lord Skrulk for a general, who is probably the most competitive pick. A few of the Skaven lords are pretty good, but popping in here with the Liber Bubonicus, as well as Rod of Corruption, he can do some insane burst damage to enemy characters. It looks like the Skaven hordes do await the arrival of the War. Some initial shots coming in from Itik's Zap Zap Cannon have hammered these Goblin Wolf Chariots. We've already lost 2 models, so looks like a couple of those shots did connect, unfortunately for them. And over on the other flank, Snotling Pump Wagons have been hit as well. Lovely dodging though by Azag the Slaughterer up in the sky, duking back and forth, but does get clobbered there by a second strike. The Goblin Wolf Chariot's going to be pushing forward, an underused unit in my personal opinion. They're pretty, cheap unit to push into the back line and do some nice disruption. But in come the Wheelz of Doom, running over to 8 peak Loons. but he certainly wants to start tying down those other goblins as well. He's going to be forced his way into the back line to hunt down Night Goblin archers, which is a perfect use of his time. He has to be very careful. If these Night Goblin swig hoppers can wrap around and pin in the wheel, it will go down to their consistent fire. However, you know, there could be some good counter skirmishing with the mortars if it does kind of get bunched up. So in come the goblins. We are going to see a summon in the front line as well, assuming that these are going to be plague monks to chew through to 8 peak loonies very quickly. Looks like they do manage to just about get away though and drop their fanatics. A little bit of friendly fire, that's all good. And it's going through Skaven slaves for the rest of it. More loons being unleashed as well. So great micro so far by Desert Fox to actually drop those guys on time. And it looks like there's going to be a big overload on this other flank as Skaven slaves are pushed back. But a lovely counterplay. Warp Grinder is going to be moving forward as well to pin everything in place with that Seismic Snare. Doing the Warp Quake as well to do a little bit of damage, which is helping protect this little pocket. And allow the Rat Ogres to clear up these pesky Forest Goblin Spider Riders before bouncing back to deal with those squigs. So overall, nice pressure across the entire field. Looks like Azag has taken one too many shots for now and is going to be falling back a little bit. And in come the Snotland Pump Wagons and the Flappers, helping break through the Skaven Slaves as well, trying to get to the more soft underbelly of this build. The Rat Ogres holding strong though, and they're going to do pretty decent work up against the Pump Wagons, ripping those little Snotlands from their own wagons, tearing apart wheels and devouring goblin flesh. The arch line is relatively safe here. One unit did get pushed back, which was the Rusty Arrows. But apart from that, the others are unleashing hell upon the summoned unit of Plague Monks who did go down. Before now focusing down the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers. Might even be worth going after Skrulk. Looks like the Goblin Big Boss is going for a bit of a Leroy Jenkins assault here. Charging headlong through the enemy, getting absolutely clubbered by flaming swords in a desperate attempt to get on Lord Stroke while that debuff is active. And it looks like he's going to be able to push his way through here and can perhaps do some serious damage. Azag is now going to hop on top of the Hell Pit Abomination, and with the power of the War flowing through his veins, he is jacked up and ready to go toe-to-toe with any beast. And he's certainly doing some decent damage here on the Hell Pit. The Spirit Leech is also going to help out. When that War does run out, Azag probably wants to back out of there and get away. Night Goblin Squig Hoppers have been bouncing around all game, trying to get into the back line, and these 8 peak loonies need to get moving and shut down this range pocket. They've just about broken in, but looks like they've been caught up, unfortunately, on Plague Monks, which is not where they want to go. But here they go, they are now being forced pushed through, so good micro there. Fanatics darting through, and Forest Goblin Spider Riders finally shutting down this back line, which is pretty good for the Greenskins. However, the balance of power is quite heavily against them. That's partly due to how weak Azag is compared to Lord Skrulk in this situation. A lot of the Greenskin troops are currently running for the hills, but there's certainly potential for a bit of a late game comeback here. Early shots, or more shots, sorry, are going in to the Night Goblin Archers, pushing these guys back, doing some pretty good work overall. And it looks like it's just a Rusty Arrows left, holding the line here for the Goblins and unleashing some shots as the Snotland Pump Wagon Flappers do push in here. And it looks like they're going to be able to break off the Poisoned Wind Mortars, which is pretty pivotal here for the Greenskins' chances. However, the longer this Hell Pit does stay alive, he of course has regeneration, so the stronger he shall get. It's going to be pretty tough, and with Azag so beat up, there's not much left on the Greenskin roster which can actually take him down. And with a couple more summons as well coming in the form of those pesky Plague Monks, it's looking pretty bleak now for the Greenskins after some good initial engagements. Night Goblin Fanatics are trying to... These guys have such like a weird running animation as they kind of like launch themselves forward. It's very cool, but they're trying their best as they shuffle forward into glorious battle, and no doubt their doom up against this Hell Pit Abomination, which is going to be pretty tough. Looks like army losses has set in, and that is going to be a victory to the forces of Skaven. Two very interesting builds. Big fan here of the Wheelz of Doom being brought. Haven't seen that unit in so long, and nice to see the Flappers and Pump Wagons doing it pretty solid all round. Looks like it is just the 8 peak loonies left standing. 5 models left, but these poor goblins don't stand too much of a chance, I would say, unless they had some ridiculous RNG rolls, and the Hell Pit looks like it is going to be devouring them. So it is fast forward here as the last few goblins do get devoured, and a very valiant defeat indeed. And yeah, let's go do a tiny bit of analysis. So big shout out to Desert Fox for sending this one in, and I'm pretty sure it was a good best of 3 as well. If you did see the tournament, you'll know Desert Fox did make it all the way to the semi-finals, so very good play all round, and he had a good tournament. Interesting build as well. I'm loving the Goblin theme of, apart from Azag here, I suppose, is the Orc, but apart from that, all Gobbos, which is a pretty fun way of playing. Certainly allows you to swarm around the Skaven. However, you do leave yourself open to Hell Pits and Doom Wheels. And overall, I think the archers probably could have dealt with the Hell Pit if the rest of the unit could like push into backline quickly enough, but not with that Doom Wheel as well, which I think was a real MVP, doing huge backline harass, shutting down archers, chasing down troops, and getting a whopping 106 kills. There just wasn't enough to stop it in the end. Perhaps sending Azag after him maybe would have been a good idea to protect that back line, but it's you know, tough to say in hindsight here. But really good game all round. And guys, hope you did enjoy. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old like and subscribe. And if you want to see your replays featured on the channel and get involved in the tournament scene at all and see when my live streams and all that good stuff is, feel free to join my Discord. There is a link just down below in the description, as well as a link to Patreon and kind of PayPal donations and all that good stuff if you want to support the channel in any other way. Anyway guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.